Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole podcast. I'm Danny Vega, joined today by a very special guest. She's the co-executive producer of Here For It. She's a YouTuber under her handle, Devin But Better. She's a former BuzzFeed star, dare I say, of ladylike fame. And my personal favorite credit of this person, she retweeted my tweet and made me go viral. Ladies and gentlemen, Devin Lytle, welcome to the program.
That tweet really shocked me, Danny, because I was like, when you texted me and said that you went viral, I'm like, oh, good for Danny. Like maybe 7,000, 108,000. I'm like, wow. And it was like 9,000 retweets. Good on you.
But you were the one that got it to, I feel like you retweeted it and then it started to go up toward 1K and then it got a crazy second wind at some point. And I don't know what that was, but I know I checked Twitter.
Want to talk about that? Let's start off. It was the mixture of a great handle. You really hopped on a trend. You made yourself into Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And it fooled me for a second, for real. For a second when you showed up on my timeline, I was like, since when did I follow Cinnamon Toast Crunch? And then you had something that was pretty funny and pretty topical in kind of brand speak. And so, yeah, you hopped on a trend and of course it went gangbusters. It's a formula.
It's a formula, but it was my first viral tweet, so I really enjoyed it. I celebrated with some French toast bread. So you're in LA. Guys, this is really funny, actually. Devin was going to try to record the podcast outside.
I was like an idiot, like a stupid baby idiot.
It just, I mean, to me, it speaks to the LA aesthetic of we're going to let's go hike. Let's do an outdoor podcast. Let's keep in nature.
You haven't even moved here yet. You are so New Yorker right now. It hurts. By the way, I used to live in New York. I love New York, but New Yorkers have this tude about LA, and LA people really don't care because we have weed and nice weather. So
it's obviously better. That's why.
Talk your shit. Whatever. We're happier.
No, totally. I'm leaving. I'm trying to leave. I can't leave. You know what I had never heard of before is the apprehension before moving. Because it's a really weird phase when you decide to move. And then there's this period where you're just at a place and you're like, this doesn't matter anymore.
Oh my God. Similarly, we have this story of Patrick's grandma. So backstory for everyone. I know Danny through my boyfriend, Patrick. We've been dating for 6 years. He's a lovely man. Anyway, he's very Dutch and he has a very Dutch grandma. And so one time, apparently she lives in this situation where, she can see beautiful houses in the hills being built because she's in San Francisco. So she has this backyard and it looks upon the landscape and there's these $10 million houses being constructed around here. And we're chatting with her and we're talking about how just the cost of the driveway must be $1 million to fucking pave up this hill. And she goes, don't they know that they're going to die? Don't these people know that they're going to die? And I can't stop thinking about that whenever I encounter something stupid. I'm like, people, especially in LA, don't you know, driving around in a Lamborghini fucking on a Wednesday, don't you know you're going to die? What does it matter?
What's the matter with you? It's so dangerous.
Anyways.
So you were telling me you had some bones to pick with the documentary that came out a while ago, The Social Dilemma. Personally, I thought it was extremely trite. I was like, yeah, I know they're getting us addicted. I know this. I've seen the articles, but what was your take on this doc?
First off, I just love that we're talking about something that I want to talk about that is no bearing right now. I don't think people are even paying attention to the social dilemma. I mean, it's gone. It's out of the social psyche, I think, but whatever. I want to talk about it. Let's talk about something that was trending 8 months ago.
It was a moment. It was a moment.
Okay. I thought it was a piece of fear propaganda. I thought it was, now there's a lot of truth to it, obviously, but I think the swell of the dramatic music and people, sure, the interviews having this sense of urgency and it really used a lot of scare tactics. And the fact of the matter is we created social media. Everyone did, not only these companies, but we, by buying into the system, created it. So there's no reason to be afraid of it because you actually have control more than you think, and they never talked about the solutions, like how to turn off your notifications, or how to, like, for an example, on TikTok, if you don't want to be a part of the algorithm, you can follow specific people on TikTok and then scroll to the left and just watch their videos and never
Right.
interact with the For You page. Like, there are ways to make social media more approachable and more private for everyone. And so we can enjoy in this thing that is the modern day printing press. Like, everyone back in the day, if you think, like, because I'm a huge history buff, if you think about it, like when the modern day printing press came out, people
Mm.
were going shit bonkers because that meant that poor people had to learn to read, and people educated themselves, et cetera, et cetera. And it gave birth to this renaissance, if you think
Yeah.
about European history mostly. But that's what we're at right now. We created this means to communicate with each other. And yes, it's
Right.
taken over our elections. And yes, it has revealed some flaws about us as society and us as humans. But that's not social media. That's us.
Well, as much as I agree with you, right? I really think it is a gray matter, and I do agree with you that there are ways to mitigate this. You can use iOS screen time and tell your partner the passcode, so now you can't even open up your Instagram for longer than 20 minutes a day. Or like you said, you could just stick to the For You page, or sorry, the following page, or whatever it may be. Whatever little tactics you can do. There is a phenomenon that just happens to me all the time. It happened to me right now. Actually, I was like, oh, let me send this little link to Devin so we can do the podcast. As soon as I open Twitter, I'm lost. I don't even know
Yeah.
what I went in for because I saw the notification and I had to get my little buzz, and so there's something like that that's going on, and it's inherent in the design and these things. So but on the other hand, I do agree with you about the printing press aspect, and I don't like people who are like, oh, I don't use social media, I'm better than you vibe. Like, it's like, no, you're not. You're disconnected. You don't know what's going on
Oh
in
yeah.
this particular matter.
Uh-huh.
It's not that it's wrong. If you don't want to do it, that's
You don't
fine.
have
But just,
to.
yeah, don't act like you're better than me because you don't know what getting milkshake duck means. That's probably healthy that you don't, but I'm just saying.
Well, you have an interesting perspective. If I don't mean to be like, let's bring it down to this real level, but like, as someone who's sober, you can speak to the addictive parts of social media that maybe you're a little bit more sensitive to because you've been on this journey, and like maybe I just don't, and because I work for me, and I have to be completely honest. I've been on social media, I mean, since Facebook started it
Sure,
all.
sure.
And I've been working on it for 10 years, like since 2009. So I've just kind of
Mhm.
have this, I really do approach social media as a workplace. TikTok is really TikTok and Twitter are the apps that I really like. Fine, I'm spending a lot of my own free time on, but I'm curious as to how the addictive part affects you.
Well, I mean, I'm very addicted. I mean, Twitter is really my only problem. Fortunately for me, TikTok is where I would get the most notifications and stuff, but I just never cared about TikTok. I don't like watching video. I don't like it. So
Mm.
I like don't like I turned off TikTok notifications right away, and it's just never been an issue, which is it would ruin me. Like this tweet going viral. Thank you so much, by the way. Not retracting the thanks. I lost days of this. I got headaches over it. Like, it's this constant drip of notification. Plus, I bought a vape, so I was like getting really fucked up.
Hmm.
But you know what did happen to me, and I actually I haven't been public about this, but I think it's important to talk about. I'm curious if something like this has happened to you. Like when I
Hmm.
post on TikTok, I do eventually check, right? I don't get notifications, but I will eventually check to see how a video did.
Hmm.
Um, I had a video. I was like, I'm gonna start posting again. I haven't been posting on TikTok. It's so stupid. This is the majority of my followers. And I posted a video and it got 300 views and 11 likes, which is extremely low for me.
Hmm.
And I had a meltdown. I actually it honestly feels I've been thinking about this. It feels like everyone kind of in the world is saying like we reject you.
No, don't think that. No, please don't
And
personalize it. No.
it honestly feels like shame, extreme shame, and so I actually struck myself in the face repeatedly, which is like something I've done before, but only in very rare circumstances. And
Fair.
so and it was really upsetting to me because I was like, wow, this is something I do for fun. This is my social media platform. Like, so why did I have this reaction? And I've talked about it in therapy and stuff. I think I was very much in the scarcity mindset
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been there where it's like, oh, I had one idea and then the idea wasn't even good and I have no more ideas. Bah! So anyway.
Well, the thing is that these platforms don't educate their users on like what's actually going on behind the scenes. So then the users turn around and internalize the feedback that they get from it. In your case, for example, you got 300 likes and 11 comments. I've had
300 views, 11 likes. It was
11
worse.
likes.
It was bad. It was bad.
It doesn't matter because um, do you know what shadow banning is?
Yeah, I see shadow banning come up a lot. Yeah, what's your take on shadow banning?
Well, we know so very little about TikTok's algorithm. I mean, its algorithm is its golden. I mean, it's golden egg. That's one of the reasons why TikTok is so successful because it's so addictive. But because it's an offshore's company, we have no idea
Mm,
about how this algorithm works, right? And so there are things that TikTok, because we know because it's an offshore company, that they have a little bit more control off of what's trending. It's not as diplomatic as a lot of like American social media companies are. And diplomatic,
mm,
that's a stupid word because I don't want to give American social media companies any credit, but like things rise to the top in like American social media companies just differently. So TikTok has a little bit more hands on with their algorithm, so they can choose to silence certain topics or
yeah.
trends or vibes or whatever, and we don't understand why. And users of TikTok, creators, have realized that shadow banning is a huge problem, especially, and it has kind of racial implications, especially for the side of the internet that I'm on, which is sex worker and pole dancer. That's just my vibe. I am a pole dancing instructor, and a lot of Black women who are incredible pole dancers or like really interesting artists who have OnlyFans, they are being shadow banned on TikTok, and
Mm,
no, they can't. Their videos aren't being promoted. They're not being circulated. They're not being,
yeah.
widely seen. So it has nothing to do with the art form or what the creator is doing. It's truly like 90% of the algorithm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why another component of the meltdown I had is that I have been subject to, these wild fluctuations in numbers, and TikTok is by far the biggest kind of source of that. Where, because like on Twitter, it makes sense, right? You're like, oh, well, like you have 50,000 Twitter followers. So when you retweet me, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get some likes, brr. But
Mhm.
on TikTok, it's like one day you're famous, the next day you're no one.
Yeah. And the thing about TikTok is like, I don't think follow count really matters because,
It doesn't matter.
like just think about your own user experience when you're on TikTok. You see somebody that's like a ferret that that runs YouTube, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna follow them because I like it. It's serotonin, and like then you forget about it for like 6 months. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
following doesn't really matter. It's honestly, I and this is someone who works in social media. I truly don't understand how people become TikTok famous. Not because of any talent that they have. I think there are so many talented artists on TikTok, but I just don't understand how they can, like with YouTube and with Twitter. There's kind of like a formula you can follow to kind of gain followers and get your stuff out there. But with TikTok, I don't understand how, like, there's what the steps are. I don't. I even work with for Here for It. It's a show starring Ivani, who is one of the biggest TikTok stars, and she's so sweet. She's wonderful. In fact, every TikTok star I've met, and this is the truth, has been so sweet and down to earth. Um,
Wow.
really, truly. Yeah, but I don't understand like how she hopped on or what trends she got her first initial push from. Like as a strategist, I like to dissect this, and I need to like get with compare notes with other strategists because I don't know how it happens.
Well, I stick to what I do on TikTok, and I've been lucky enough to be successful. I'm very stubborn about it. I don't want to do trends. I don't want to do duets. I don't want to do nothing. I'm going to do what I do. It's a Danny Vega show.
Hell
That's
yeah.
what it is. Let's talk a little bit about your pole dancing. You also place this as sex work adjacent. I'm kind of intrigued by that. But you're not a stripper. You're a pole dancer.
But I do strip. I mean, what do you
Okay.
let's turn it back to you. So like how do you define a stripper versus a pole dancer?
Well, I guess for me, I think a pole dancer, that's someone who dances around the pole, and a stripper is someone who gets naked for money.
Well, okay, that's fair. Stripping is the art of obviously taking your clothes off. You don't have to get naked. It's just the act of taking your clothes off or act of
Okay.
disrobing. And actually, there are some really great strippers who put their clothes back on, and that's kind of like a fetish.
I love that.
I
They
do.
start naked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they put their clothes on?
Yeah, that is something you can do, and it
That's very
maintains
funny to
it
me.
maintains its sexuality the entire time. Um, but yeah, I've worked with strippers before. It's the pole dancing world has been so fragmented because of the male gaze, quite frankly, that it's really hard to define what it is. So I try to stay
Mm.
open. Like I mean, just to like brass tacks, pole dancing right now is separated into two kind of spheres. There's exotic dancing, and then there's competition pole. And competition pole is like hardcore, training the muscles. It can be an Olympic sport. Like, oh my God, the Russian competition polers are the most insane athletes I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Um, but it's really hard to see crossover. And that's something I'm really interested in, even in like every social media bio I have. Like, are you on, for an example, are you on Clubhouse at all, Danny?
I've been on it once. I didn't get Clubhouse. I didn't understand what was happening.
But yeah, on my bio on Clubhouse, I'm like begging for people to like come together to merge these two worlds. Let's talk about it, because exotic pole dancers are different from competition pole dancers,
Hmm.
and you don't really see many. I mean, you do, but you don't. And it's like
So it's
people like to be classified separately.
but the okay, so and this it's not an offensive thing to say someone's a stripper, right? Is
No,
that
no,
still
no, not at
fine?
all. No,
Okay.
no, no, no.
So like I mean, this is what I know about this world. I know people like you. You're not the only person I know who's into the pole dancing. But you're telling me someone who works at like, a strip club, they're an exotic dancer. That's how we would label them.
Yeah, and they're there
Okay.
to dance with gays. They're there to mostly interact with, like, they're having a body energy conversation with the people who are watching them.
Sure.
That is the dance. Competition pole dancers are focused mainly on the pole and what their bodies can do in reaction to the pole. So sometimes when you go to the strip club, you'll see women dancing and they barely touch the pole, and that is their right, and that is still pole dancing, but
Hmm.
they're just dancing with something different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, would you ever go to a strip club?
Yeah. I've been,
You're,
yeah.
de- you
Yeah, absolutely.
And is some part of you let down because, they maybe are more on the exotic dancer side rather than the
No, not at all. I usually want to get up there and dance with them. That's the feeling I have.
Can you do that?
No, because liability issue.
Mm,
I've gotten drunk at several a club here in LA and in New York and climbed up on stages and had bouncers like toss me out. Stuff.
wow.
There's like, I think the running count is like 11 bars in Manhattan that I'm no longer allowed to go to.
Oh my God.
I just don't like bouncers. I get in fights.
Who are you, Devin? This is wild.
Well,
So do you get a lot of weird comments? I mean, I can imagine a lot of guys, calling, I don't know, like calling you slurs or something
no,
for being a pole
actually,
dancer?
it's interesting because I was at BuzzFeed for a long time, and before that was did a Harry Potter musical, and like I touched, I brushed up with a lot of like women based fandoms really
Mm,
early. So a lot of my audience is women, and non-binary folk, and I have the most supportive audience. I rarely get creepy DMs. I rarely get like any kind of harassment. Now, I have a couple friends who work on the gaming side who are like streamers, and
oh boy.
it's completely opposite. They don't even like do pole dancing or anything. They just, work out and do like hit workouts, and they'll still get like the most obscene messages. It really has to do about the demographic that you have. I'm very, very blessed with what I got going on.
That's really interesting. I never thought about who my demo, like who are my YouTube subscribers. I guess are mainly Reddit people, but I don't know, guys. We don't really. I mean, I get a lot. It's funny because on TikTok, I only get negativity when the video is killing, so it never hurts me. If I got a brutal comment like "you're not funny" on a video with 11 likes, I would be so upset. But that has never happened.
Oh, I get like when I was at BuzzFeed, I would get lots of hate. I get hate in like YouTube comments. I get hate, but I don't get like creepy hate. I get more like
Got it.
shameful hate, and it's just you just can't listen to it. It's mostly people because think about it, like when you're hurting, the most like I guess ethical way to hurt someone back is to go online and to troll somebody and get into Facebook fights. People we do it all the time, and so like you can't internalize don't read the comments or internalize the comments because it's just someone else's hurt that has nothing to do with you. I remember I got a comment once when I was in BuzzFeed video, and it was like, this blonde girl is the reason why I can't watch BuzzFeed content anymore. Like, I don't know why they hired her. She went on a tear against me. And I was like, at that point, I had just started working there. And I was like, I'm in like 7 videos tops. There's so many other videos that they do. Like, you're going to stop watching BuzzFeed content altogether because I appear in 7 videos. Like, wow, dude, wow, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I see it as about hurt necessarily or as inadequacy, as like unrealized dreams. Like, I remember leaving mean YouTube comments as a young boy, and cut to me doing it like 3 weeks ago. But
As a young boy.
as a young man last week, and I think it was just like, yeah, a lot of it, like, I want to be a kid. Like, I remember I left a comment on like a Steve Hofstetter video, and I took some kind of shot at him, and I don't know, it's because that's the classic mark of a hater is you go to their profile on TikTok or YouTube, whatever.
Yeah.
They have no videos, they have no content.
Yeah.
They're like nothing. There's nothing going on with them. They're
Right,
just
right.
haters.
Yeah, they just lurk and hate, and that's fine. I mean, I did that too, dude. Like, I've gone through phases
Yeah.
of my life. Oh my God. Like, my early internet days, like, you will never, I've retired and burned lots of Reddit names, my guy. Just, we're at, like, to be honest, we're the generation that grew up with the internet. So we have a lot of our growing pains on the internet. Patrick and I
Yeah.
have like a soft agreement that we will never exchange our past Reddit names to each other.
Oh
But
my God, I would never.
never. Mm-mm.
Oh, the cringiest shit I posted on Reddit. I would never want to get into it. Let's get this thing started. We got a couple situations here we're gonna cover. Speaking of Reddit, yeah, we're gonna troll these threads. Our second story of the day: AITA for telling my rich parents that my lower class friends and their families are better people than they could ever dream of being. But first, AITA for getting my daughter a better laptop than my son.
Well, I immediately don't think he's an asshole, but continue.
Oh, wow. Okay. My son and daughter are both 17. I got both of them great laptops 4 years ago that should have lasted until now. Wow, this is already dad vibes immensely.
I know. I'm like major dad vibes. I'm loving it. Let's go.
My son broke his just a year after they were bought. I would have made him get one of the low quality laptops with their school issues, but my mom got him a new one. So grandma got him a new one. Okay.
Okay.
He
Thanks,
broke that one too in just 2 years. After that, I made him get one from his school. A few days ago, that one broke. I paid the school for it and decided to get him a used laptop that will be enough for school, but not too expensive. My daughter's has worked fine until now. Last week, my 7-year-old spilled water on it and it doesn't work. I'm getting her a pretty expensive new laptop because she hasn't broken any electronics before and it wasn't her fault. My son saw
I'm
that
sorry.
she's
I have to stop you right there. I have to stop you right there because how much porn is this guy downloading? Like, how is he breaking his computer?
I know. This is crazy that he didn't include this. How are these laptops eating it?
Yeah, like, because that's the big question. If it's because he's just, a kid and throwing his shit around, then yeah, he doesn't get nice things. That's how that works. If you don't treat things nice, you don't get nice things. But if he's like downloading a bunch of like porn or like video games or something, that's a different conversation because Anyway, keep going.
I mean, this is basically it. My son saw that she's getting a better laptop than him, and he said that I'm being unfair. I told him he's destroyed 3 laptops in 4 years, and money doesn't grow on trees. Dads love that phrase. Every dad has that phrase like tattooed. He said that I'm picking favorites, and I love her more than him. I said that he can get a better one with his own money when he starts working. Am I the asshole?
Okay. Well, first off, since we're talking about dads, part of your social media identity is your dad content. I love dad content. Is this something your dad would do, you think? Do you have siblings?
I do. I have a little brother. They were actually always very explicit about equality between us and stuff. Now, my brother did have a car, which is something I may be able to leverage. It was fair. He got a car because he had to commute farther, so he had like his own car before I did when I was his age, but they were very fair with us.
No, you got to milk that for all it's worth, Danny.
Oh, yeah. When I moved to LA, I need a car, so I'm going to be like, hey, remember when Andy got a car? How about I get a car?
That's the way. That is the way. Yeah, I don't think the dad's the asshole, obviously. I don't. I don't know if we're at that part yet, but I'm ready to defend this dad because I love dad content.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's just not a lot of wiggle room here. I guess I could say that, was he clear when this went down? Was he like, look, son, you're being irresponsible. You need to care for your things. What was the messaging he sent? And why does the son keep fucking this up over and over and over again? Respect the laptop, bro.
Well, also like in truth, this kid may be a gamer and he may be trying to like run some dank ass games off of this
Take
laptop.
ass games. I mean, I feel like that's for a computer to break in that way. I feel like he's physically breaking them. He's dropping them or something. Like
Yeah.
it's very
Okay.
odd. How is this keep breaking? Who breaks a computer twice? It's insane.
Also, his grandma had to step in. Like, you broke grandma's computer. Do you have no remorse? You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't
I
think
think this what
I don't
I
think
think
the
this is I think we're stuck because the situation is stuck. There's nothing to fucking say. This daughter didn't break a laptop. The son broke 3. It's like, yes, she gets a better laptop. You cost her more money. In fact, some insane commenter made a fucking table with like interpolated numbers, I guess,
Oh my
and
god.
calculated that the daughter only cost him 3 grand for the really good laptop she got, and the son 3,800, including the grandma money. So
Wow, I love the internet. I love the internet because people will just do that for you.
it's
Ah,
it's crazy the labor people are doing on Reddit on these. Nonetheless, I think we agree. This
yeah.
one is a no brainer and a half. AITA for getting my daughter a better laptop than my son. We agree.
But isn't that just typical, Danny? Isn't that just fucking typical? This
Wait,
like
do we? Is he the asshole, Devin? Not the asshole, and he is. I guess he is. To break 3 laptops, what are you doing?
yeah. Yeah, he's the
Yeah,
asshole.
he is. He
Yeah.
is.
Uh,
AITA for telling my rich parents that my lower class friends and their families are better people than they could ever dream of being.
this one feels sticky. This one feels sticky.
This feels good. I'll start by saying that I'm a 17-year-old male. Both my parents are successful lawyers, oh boy, and we live in a super nice house. They've given me everything I could ask for, but they're not exactly there for me emotionally. Holy shit.
Oh
I
no.
can't remember the last time we ate dinner together or had a decent conversation. Most of the time, they're not even home, and it's just me. I feel like a ghost in my own house. We moved to a new town not too long ago, and my parents enrolled me in the more exclusive private school in the area. I've gone to private schools my entire life, but my experience at this school was horrible. I'm short, effeminate looking, and obviously gay. The only reason I didn't get my ass seriously kicked was because my parents are rich. I begged my parents to switch schools, but they were hesitant because the only other option was public schooling.
Uh,
I finally escaped the private school of circle jerking and enrolled in this new school. I guess I should mention that a few years ago, this school district expanded their enrollment zone to slightly cover a lower income area, which resulted in a handful of students from low income families being enrolled. Wow. My
no.
first few days at this and that's I gotta chew on that. My
Yeah.
first few
Actually,
days at this
can
new
you read that
school,
again? Can you read that part again? I'm gonna need to hear that again.
he's saying that the school district had expanded their enrollment zone to cover a slightly lower income area, which resulted in a handful of students from low income families being enrolled.
Oh, okay,
Which I
okay.
just thought that was a weird detail to include, like where the parents like, well, we don't like how this school was more inclusive to poor people, son. Like, what the
Right.
fuck?
And what is he implying here? Okay.
My first few days at this new school were brutal, with a lot of the same problems following me, until I ran into Garfield. It's a family name. He's not named after the cat. He spoke up and said he would love to be my lab partner when no one else would. We quickly became friends, and he introduced me to his childhood friend named Eduardo. Since my
Oh,
parents are so distant to begin with, they never noticed me spending so much time with my new friends. Garfield's mother is a waitress, and his dad is a construction worker. Eduardo's mother cleans houses, and his dad works odd jobs, such as driving for Uber. Both of their families are amazing and involved. I started dating Garfield and had real friends for the first time ever. Oh shit, this makes me emotional. Both
wow.
Garfield and Eduardo have come over to my house about twice and met my parents. The other day, my mother pulled me over and casually mentioned that I was spending a lot of time with that blonde boy, Garfield, and the Hispanic kid.
Oh
She asked
God.
what their families did and where they lived, and I told her. She immediately became upset and said I was aiming way below my abilities and these were not the kind of influences I needed in my life.
Ooh.
I
Ooh.
asked why, and she said, we just live different types of lives and I'll understand when I'm older. I freaked out and said both of them and their families have been there more for me in the 6 months I've known them than my parents ever have, and that they're cold, unfeeling snobs. My mom started crying and said public school has changed me for the worse. I've never seen her cry before, and I'm starting to feel horrible. AITA for saying they're rich hypocrites and that my friends' families are better.
Well, first off, this post is just like juiced with teenage hormones. Oh my god, can you taste it? Like the vintage of
Mm.
the angst and the hormones is just like wafting off every sentence. Do you
Hmm.
feel it?
I don't know. What do you mean? And just like how I mean, I think this is a tough spot for this kid. You know, he's short, he's effeminate looking, then he's gay. I mean,
Yeah,
even
but
Gen Z, I guess, has its bullies. Go ahead.
we don't hear about what the parents are doing. We don't hear the parents' story at all. He leads with, my parents are assholes, they're really rich, they've given me everything I want, but they're never there for me. Like, that is a very strong take that I feel like comes from a very
Hmm.
teenage, perhaps emotionally a little bit immature person, because he's not seeing like their sacrifices, the perspective. Like, he's not giving any nuance to portraying them, which I just feel like is a very reactionary, emotional.
I'll push back, Devs. He says they've given me everything I could ask for, but they're not exactly there for me emotionally. I think he's acknowledging he's not being black and white. He's saying, yeah, I got every nice thing I could ever want, but they're not here.
Which I feel for him. And the big nice house, him being
Mm-hmm.
alone, that paints like
Mm-hmm.
such a terrible picture. But like, well, first off, I think the mom is her opinions of his friends are completely misplaced, and she probably needs to do a lot of self-examination. But like, it just feels like this family needs to sit down and have a nice heart to heart and chat. Just doesn't this feel like the beginning of an emotional high point in like a television show, where they just need to sit down and he needs to express to them that he wants them to be more involved in his life, and they need to express to him like what's going on their side. It just feels very teenage. No?
I don't know. I mean, look, I'm projecting here because I've had an experience with individuals of this type,
Oh, tell me
and
about it.
well, I've been exposed to snobby people who are very status oriented and very wealthy, and this is how they tend to view the world. They're like, I even love the way the mom reduces his friends. It's not they're not people to her. It's the blonde boy and the Hispanic kid. They're
Mm,
labels already. Not
mm,
hey, how's your friend doing? No, how's that blonde boy?
yeah.
Let's put him in a little box and figure out what makes him tick. you know Lawyers, I think, in particular, are, it's not an emotional job. You wouldn't want an emotional lawyer. I personally believe a lot of lawyers are not very connected to their emotions, which is good for their job,
Mm,
not great for life, if you ask me. But I'm sure, I mean, I do know some lawyers who are very emotionally kind of well adjusted. But so for me, that's kind of what I'm reading here, is that these parents are very detached. They're very status oriented. They're not great parents. They're not bad parents, but like, providing for your kids is
isn't
not.
enough.
What's that?
It's just that's not enough. You need to give him a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just food, water, shelter. Like, that's not really enough. Like, it's also love, emotion, support, attention. um and when you're with two people who probably earn really great money, and there does hopefully come a point where you go like, hey, like, we make $400,000 a year. Why doesn't one of us not work? And the answer they would have said is, well, is then how are we supposed to drive a Tesla and live in the nice neighborhood and send the kid to private school? Oh, you're right, honey. Let's keep working 70-hour weeks and, fuck our son.
I don't know. I just think that there's a lot more gray area to this. Like, yeah, first off, like, I don't agree with what the mom said at all,
Hmm.
and I do think that she was incredibly reductive out the gate. But I do also know that being a parent is like one of the toughest jobs in the world. And perhaps maybe I'm speaking from a place where I've had to like confront a lot of like my own parents' flaws. And it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
at a certain point, you just got to forgive them for being human if you want to keep them in your life. If not, if you don't want to forgive them, then you need to be prepared to walk away. And that's probably what the situation's going to, not to make assumptions, but it's probably going to come down to when this kid gets older, like he's probably going to demand his parents change mindset or remove communication from them because that's the only
Mm-hmm.
healthy way to act. I feel like, you just can't have bad influences in your life. Um,
Yeah, I
so
mean, I think it's tough to. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think that sometimes you just have to make compromise. And I definitely think this mom needs to fucking shift her mindset. Um, I do think his parents in this situation are being the asshole because they're parents and therefore they need to know better and they need to be better parents. They're the adult. But I think probably the situation is way more nuanced than what is being presented.
I don't know. I trust OP. It's interesting. Right away, you reacted to that. I trust OP. I mean, if OP was straight, maybe I'd trust them a little less. But I guess I don't know why. I'm just like, yeah, this seems
Well,
legit,
I will say I maybe trust him a little bit more because he's seeking out counsel on Am I the Asshole? He's actually
right?
himself like, wait, hold on, let me get an adjustment here. Am I the asshole or are my parents being the asshole? But then this is also, from on the other side, this is also a forum where people create echo chambers, No, he's
That's
the
true. Yeah.
asshole.
Well, I call that painting a picture. They try to paint a picture because then they want to. But look, I think everything about the story lines up to me. The story he's telling, we got a high profile career. We've got he acknowledges that they're giving him everything. So they're strictly material providers. They're not emotional providers. Of course they want him to go to the private school. Then he's got all these weird names. There's a lot of emphasis on names here. Garfield and Eduardo. I love it.
Yeah, it seems, yeah. What would you
But
suggest
then
for him to do then in this situation? Like, so his
I
parents are the asshole. What would you recommend him do?
I would say he should just stick. I mean, I think he would stick with it. I mean, I think you're not wrong that this could be a separation. But look, I think the mother was being extremely dismissive as well, and
Mhm.
that's kind of the mark of this sort of attitude and mindset. She says to him, "Well, you'll understand when you're older." Well, that's not a discussion now, is it? What does that even mean?
Right.
These people we just have different kinds of lives, and that he's aiming way below my abilities. And I've seen this mindset, Devin. I'm telling you, there are
Mm,
people who believe that because they're a doctor they are better than a construction worker. you
yeah.
know it's not enough for them that they're making 3 times more money. It's like they also think that they're better than, and they don't have to speak to or whatever it may be. And it's like, damn, like, isn't society rewarding you enough that you don't have to have that kind of ego driven attitude?
Yeah, I definitely think this mom needs to find Jesus or like a therapist for sure. Um, I also just want to point out that I feel like being a mom is because, to be fair, and maybe I need to give context. I
Hmm.
grew up with a very reactive mother. I had a very reactive mom growing up, and I just know that she would say the most terrible things when she was the most scared.
Hmm.
And so I think I have a lot of empathy for moms because it seems like a really fucking tough job. And when you see your child, something that you're supposed to protect, and also something that from hearing the story that she's not really tuned into, so she's probably tuning in for the first time and seeing a world that she's not familiar with. This blonde boy and Eduardo,
Yeah.
and so she's probably freaking the fuck out and said some things that this kid's going to remember for the rest of his life. Because that's how it works. When my mom has said so many horrible things to me when I was a teenager. And when you're a teenager, that's like those formative years where you start shaping your views on the world. And so this kid is going to remember, OP is going to remember this moment for the rest of his life. And I'm sure this mom did not consider that, you know, I'm
Well, I
sure
don't
she
feel.
thought that.
I'm not too hopeful about mom even kind of accepting like some of what he's saying. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think she might go with him for a bit and be like, fine, it's okay if they're your friends, but down the road it's gonna come right back up. But I could be wrong. I just see a lot of rigidity here, and um, nonetheless, I think we agree.
Yeah,
This
this
the
parents and assholes.
he did take a shot. But
Mhm.
AITA for telling my rich parents that my lower class friends and their families are better people than they could ever dream of being. I think we agree. Not the
Yeah.
asshole, and the parents are.
Parents need to go to some therapy, probably some. I mean, fuck, their law firm can sponsor some diversity and inclusion courses. Like, wow, like, come on, this is a tax write-off, if nothing else. Please, people.
Seriously. And any lawyers out there, hey, I'm not saying not all lawyers. I'm just saying I've been exposed to lawyers of this. And I mean, there's assholes in every career. I think that.
Well, it's funny you said that you thought lawyers are unemotional because I was in group therapy for a while called DBT.
Mhm.
DBT is dialectical behavioral therapy. It's kind of
Yeah.
like CBT, and it's mostly for people with borderline personality disorder or emotional regulation issues, addiction, any type. Anybody can go to DBT, but it's just like a
Mhm.
different way of thinking about therapy. And most of the people who were in DBT were lawyers, people who had anger issues, people
Mm.
who saw the world in this very logical way. And then when people don't act logically, they have emotional reactions and they
Yes.
control them. Yeah. So,
Oh, I see you there.
so anyway,
Interesting. Well, Devin, it's been such a joy to have you on the pod. Thank you so much for coming
Danny, I
on.
don't
And
know if any of this is usable. Like, I feel like I rambled at you, like yelled at you about social media.
it's
and then
good. It's
And then we
good.
talked about some real stuff, and now I'm like, did I make any yokes? Did I make any jokes? Is this fun? I don't know.
It's fun, we did the damn thing, don't sweat it. It is what it is.
Well, now you have to edit it, so there you
I
go.
know, I know. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks for having me.